So you'll remember that in our last lesson, we were working on using the benchmarks of 1/2 and 1 to compare fractions. And today we'll go over that work to make sure that you understand what you were doing before we introduce something new. I did want to give some shout outs though to some folks. Anybody who did more than one thing last week, I highlighted your name in a color. So we can see that Grace not only did some Math 180, but she also checked off on the classroom that the work was done, so I knew that she'd participated. Matt and Moses did Math 180. Ben worked on Math 180 and did the quizzes activity I had posted. Gabe spent some time on Math 180. I was really glad to see that. Rodrigo did some Math 180 work and did the quizzes activity. Miss Alex Taylor did the Math 180 and the quizzes. Brielle, I saw worked on Math 180. Good for you. Micah, I saw that you worked on Math 180. Lejea, I saw that you worked on Math 180. Marjan, you also spent some time on Math 180 and did the quizzes activity. So good for that. Messiah did Math 180 and the quizzes activity. Iman, you'll notice, did all three. So I know that he is active and working online. So I would appreciate you doing all of the activities. We're trying to make things to help you, and I'd really like to see you take advantage of it. Jay did Math 180 and also checked off on the classroom so that I knew that he'd finished his work or done the day's assignment. And then Nina did some Math 180. We've got Weston who checked off on the classroom that he did whatever was assigned one day, and so did Maddie and Jakila. So thanks to all of you. It makes me feel good to know that somebody is taking advantage of my hard work and putting all this together. And I'm really proud that you are working and continuing to learn during this time. All right. So that is just about as blurry as it comes, and I'm sorry about that, but that's what we've got. What we were doing in this lesson was we were working with benchmarks, and we were comparing these fractions to actually two benchmarks. We were either comparing to half or we were comparing to 1. And I always start with comparing to 1. So I look at these two fractions here in number 3 and I think to myself, are either one of those bigger than 1? And we can see here that 3/2 is bigger than 1. So in this case, I'm going to compare to 1. I know that 3/2 is more than 1 and 2/3 is less than 1. So if 3/2 is greater than 1, it's got to be greater than 2/3. Taking a look at number 4, neither one of these fractions are more than 1. I would know that they are more than 1 if the numerator was larger than the denominator, and that's not happening. So we now compare to half. Half of 10 is 5. So 5/10 is the same as half. Yeah, we're comparing to half. So 7/10 is greater than half. Half, when we think about hundreds, half of 100 is 50. So 50 hundredths is half. 25 hundredths is less than half. So 7/10 must be greater than 25 hundredths. If you're having any trouble with any of these, please don't hesitate to contact me. I've got office hours. We can meet together on WebEx. I can just send you some emails or some videos. I helped a student with that one day last week, so that would be great. So again, I'm going to compare to 1 or a half. Those are my benchmarks. Neither one of these are greater than greater than 1, so I'm going to compare to a half. Half of 16 is 8, so 8/16 are half. This is less than half. Woohoo! Half of 4 is 2, so 2/4 is half. 3/4 is greater than half, so 5/16 must be less than 3/4. Again, I'm going to look and see if either one of these is larger than 1. The numerators are smaller than the denominators, so now I've got to compare to a half. 3/6 is half in 6, so 1/6 is less than half. The 2/3 is a little bit harder. You might be able to picture 2/3 in your mind from the building with the pieces that we used before, but 1.5 is actually half of 3, so 2/3 is greater than half. So 2/3 must be larger than 1/6. Looking at these two, I can immediately see that 5/4 is larger than 1. 5/4 has a numerator larger than the denominator, making it greater than 1. 11/12 is less than 1, so 11/12 must be less than 5/4. Looking at these, we got a couple strategies here we could use. We have a common numerator. We could use that strategy, or because the numerators are less than the denominators, we could use comparing to half. Either way, half of 12 is 6, so 7/12 is more than half. Half of 16 is 8, so 7/16 is less than half. If you think about taking a cake or a candy bar and cutting it into 12 equal pieces, cutting it into 16 equal pieces, you have 7 pieces of each, but the 12ths would be bigger pieces than the 16ths. So for 2 reasons, 7/12 is larger than 7/16. All right, I'm always going to start looking to see if there's a fraction greater than 1. And in this case, 15/12 has a larger numerator than a denominator. I'm going to compare to 1. This one is greater than 1. 12/15 is less than 1. So 12/15 has to be less than 15/12. Again, I'm going to check number 10 to see if either one of these is greater than 1. Neither one of them are, so we're going to compare to half. Half of 100 is 50, so 50 hundredths is half. This one is smaller than half. Half of 40 is 20. 35 is bigger than 20, so this one's greater than half. So 25 hundredths is less than 35 40ths. Then finally, this was one of the questions that you had. It was the exit ticket that actually came on the page that goes with this lesson. So I just copied it. So I've got 7/8. Where's my pen? What's going on here? 7/8 and 15/40. So we're going to compare these to half because neither one is more than 1. 4/8 is half, so 7/8 is greater than half. In 40ths, 20/40 equals half, so this one is less than half. So 7/8 must be larger than 15/40. So that finishes up the third lesson in Block 5, Topic 1. And I just wanted to go over that with you in case you were confused or had any trouble with your quizzes. The lessons that have gone on before this one are also posted in the stream for my Google Classroom. So if you want to go back and try to catch up or review anything, those things are there. Otherwise, on Friday, we will start a new lesson. It's a little bit more challenging. It'll be the problem-solving lesson in this topic, but I know you can handle it. And I know you'll let me know if you need help. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.